You're probably watching this video because you're super interested in astrology. And why are we interested in astrology? Because astrology tells me about me, how amazing I am, how amazing you are. And what is so really incredible is when you actually take astrology and use it therapeutically. And now I think everyone who is in self help spiritual development at this point knows that it's all about the subconscious mind, right? And enter hypnotherapy, a qualified hypnotherapist who can also use astrology to help you to be more of who you truly are, maybe to experience more miracles, more manifestation. The path is endless, and that's why I have on this wonderful guest today. I'm so excited to get to know her. It's Jennifer Wilson. She is a hypnotherapist and astrologer, so stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. Welcome to this episode. Now, if it's your first time here, I'm so excited to have you be a part of this. Really is like a community. We are offering this live on YouTube and like Facebook and other places. And then, of course, it is posted on my podcast feed, Charmed Life with Tricia Carr. So again, if you're first time here, my name's Tricia. I am a spiritual teacher, a channel, an intuitive, an animal communicator. And I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, which is why I'm so excited to connect with a fellow hypnotherapist on this episode. And I'll bring her on in just a second. And before I do, I want to welcome those who are watching live to drop a comment and let us know where you're coming from. If you have a question, hi, Betty. Oh, I'm so excited to see you, Betty. I love Betty. Betty is here. And Betty says she's very excited for this podcast. Thank you. I'm excited too. Because seriously, I have been connecting with Jennifer Wilson, my guest, for a while now. So we're really excited to crack open all of this wonderful information about how astrology and your subconscious mind can help you to be more of who you truly are. So without further delay, welcome, Jennifer.
Hello. Hi.
So great to have you. We have been connecting on Instagram for how long has it been? Probably a year? I don't even know. Or maybe longer.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, exactly. So, what I like to do is save all of the juicy stuff for the time that we're actually here together on the podcast. So, I want to know all about your work. And let's start off with because you are an astrologer and a hypnotherapist. How did you come to merge those two fantastic modalities? Or what are some of the amazing things that you've seen shift in your life or other people's lives? Get us into the magic of everything that you're doing.
I love answering this question,
Mhm.
and it's almost like where do I start with
Right.
where do I even start? Um, for me, every modality that I have, I started as a client first. I started
Yeah.
with feeling the power of what these modalities can offer you, and then I brought it into my practice. So,
Yeah.
astrology, I can only pin it down to I was just really interested. It started out as a hobby. I was
Hmm.
very interested in it from a really young age. And the more I learned about it, the more I needed to learn more.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just typing something in the comments there.
Yeah. 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 Well, thanks, Kate. We're just saying thanks, Kate. And what happened in the comments? Did someone address a? Oh, there's. Oh, okay.
No.
I see. Oh, no, I don't hear echoing. That's okay. You can actually just ask me. We're live. That's what
Oh,
happens. Do you hear
okay. Just
echoing?
making sure.
You
I
hear
do.
echoing? Oh, shoot. Do you hear yourself echoing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it distracting for you?
I can work through it. I just wanted to make sure it's okay.
Yeah, we don't hear it. I don't hear it. Do y'all
Okay.
hear it?
Okay. Perfect.
Sorry about that.
Okay. No,
Mer-
that's okay.
Mercury, we are demonstrating Mercury retrograde for you all.
We are. It's been a little bit of a technical challenge today.
We're
Um,
very brave, aren't we, to go and do a live podcast in front of the whole world during Mercury retrograde.
hey,
We can do it, right?
this is what I preach. I preach you do not stop your life because of planetary placements. You
Yes.
simply be aware of it and work through it.
Hmm.
So, um, The astrology piece just started as a general interest. And then when I actually saw the validity and the synchronicities and how things were unfolding and realizing the power behind it and how it was positively impacting my life, I couldn't stop learning and I kept learning and then eventually became a modality within my practice. And one of the things, and I've talked about this before, but one of the things that was life changing for me is, so each planet or point has a different area of your life that it supports. And for me, my Venus, which has to do with love and how I can express myself within that, is in a place of double weakness. My Mercury, which is communication, is in a place of strength. So I had an 8-year corporate career before transitioning to where I am today. And I never had public speaking, no issue. I would walk into a board meeting of men twice my age who were looking at me that I had no business even being in the position that I was in or leading the meeting. Did not bother me. I was confident. I'm like, let's do this. When it came to having to communicate my feelings within a relationship or anything like that, I couldn't talk. And it's not because I wanted to. I like nothing would come out. I couldn't form or articulate a thought. And this bothered me for a really long time, and it affected my dating life because communication is everything. And understanding that my communication is strong, but my Venus is in a double weakness, and weaknesses aren't bad. They are simply just something, they're an opportunity to work through. And since understanding this about myself, I have been able to make leaps and bounds with this. It has positively affected all my relationships.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the huge things within astrology that is really powerful. You find out these things about yourself, whether it's a natural strength, which is like one of your superpowers, or an area of weakness that you're like, okay, I get it. This makes sense to me now. And this is not an excuse to live in a victim mentality where, okay, well, I can't talk in relationships, so I'm not going to. Um, I always say astrology is not an excuse for poor behavior, but it gives you an opportunity to nurture these areas into strengths. And it was huge for me. Um, the other thing that really sticks out was working with my North and South node. The South node is traits that you have brought in with you with the belief system that we've had multiple lives from a past life. They are traits that have served you well in that life and feel like things that you need to do in this life. Maybe your knee jerk reaction, maybe what you need to do to feel safe. But when you live from this space, you're miserable. Your North Node, which is the highest potential on your chart, this is where that magic word alignment comes in. This is where you feel that you are taking steps forward, where life starts to flow when you are living from these energies. And my South Node, and we're all going to be different based on where our South Node is, based on where it is in our chart, the zodiac, the aspects. There's a whole thing. It's not just generic to everyone. But my South Node specifically wants me to isolate. So throw that on top of being a Taurus, where I do enjoy my alone time and my downtime. But there is a difference between recharging and isolating or hiding or. And if I stay in this space, anxiety flares up, depression flares up, overthinking flares up, life starts to feel heavy, almost like you start feeling like the walls are closing in on you. And this is South Node energy. So for me to understand that, although in maybe my knee jerk reaction is hide, or you don't, you're makes you nervous, just don't do it. I know that if I take steps towards my North Node energy, and a huge part of that is being with people, it makes me feel uncomfortable, but the moment I do it, I instantly feel better. So that, being able to push out of that South Node and into that North Node, it was like my whole life made sense. And made me feel really empowered that I actually do have control over how I feel, because anxiety and depression can come in as really big, overwhelming feelings. Um,
Yeah.
so that was a really, really big thing for me.
That's amazing. And just to see that it's like the stars know you, the universe knows you, and then you can get out of your head about it. If it, if the isolation in a negative sense, solitude's one thing that sounds beautiful,
Yeah,
but isolation is a whole different thing. And
exactly.
then and then as you move into the north node energy, as you're talking about, it's like you're cultivating it as a state, basically, in your, as we do for in hypnotherapy. So starts to shift everything. And Kate has a question here. How did you determine Venus was a double weakness? How do you find that in your chart? Do you have, is that something you can easily explain, or is it kind of too hard to
Yeah,
do?
no,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I definitely don't want anyone to get overwhelmed. If you're not an astrologer, you're not meant to know these things. So each planet or point is paired with a zodiac and in a house. And based on where it is paired with, is either in a place of strength or in a place of weakness or neutral. Um, Strengths are the planet is able to express itself in its best, vibrant energy. The thing with this is that these can easily go wasted,
Yeah.
planets that are in their strength, if you are not, because they come easy to you. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily realize it's a strength. Neutral planets, they're just hanging out. They're doing good. It's not a strength. It's not a weakness. And then the weaknesses, like I mentioned, are areas of improvement, essentially things your soul chose to nurture and work through in this life. So for me, based on my Venus is in Aries in the seventh house, and sorry, the sixth house, sorry. And based on that house and Aries, weakness, double.
Oh, okay. So the sixth house is a weakness, and then Aries is a weakness. That's what makes it. I had an astrologer looking at my chart and said compromised, probably the same thing as weakness, right? And he has said
I'd
that
imagine.
yeah, my Mercury was compromised, is how he called it, or something like that, which is interesting because I that's all I do is talk and talk and talk.
I have your chart. I'm
Yeah,
just
she has my
looking.
chart. So, while you're looking that up, so is the sixth house always when something is in the sixth house? That's always a weakness.
No.
No, it just happens.
Um,
That's how it lines up for you.
for Venus,
For Venus, oh, okay. So if Venus is in the sixth house, that's a weakness.
for me.
For okay,
Sorry.
no, that's why we have to hire really qualified astrologers. So,
Yes.
but that's what to look at, Kate. And Kate's pretty savvy. She could probably sort it out. I know Kate really well. Yeah.
So you're a bit like me, where your Mercury is also in Aries.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's going to give you, it's not in a place of strength there.
Mm-hmm.
Strength would be Virgo or Gemini, but Aries is cardinal fire. It's
Mm.
leadership. It is knows what it wants to say and goes for it. It's in the eighth house for you, which is Scorpio, which is it's a neutral placement. It's not in a strength. It's not in a weakness. And this is probably where you are really able to. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that my communication style is aggressive, and I'm like, really? Like, I don't get like, okay. Um, and that's also the Virgo placement that I have. But for you, the Scorpio, so you're able to really go deep into things, and you have that fire behind you, but you're not as like short and quick as I am,
Hmm.
is what I'll
Interesting.
say.
I was just talking with someone. I was recalling. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember who it was. I'm trying to remember the whole thing. I was recalling how I have been told in the past. Well, actually, two things. This was so funny because I've been told I'm very aloof and tacit. You know what I mean? Like I don't express very much, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. And then I've also had people. There's actually one. It's happened many times, but there's this one pinnacle emblematic time where it was when I used to work in hospitality and I was a bartender. My bar back he was so, it was like pretty rude to say this, but he's like, you know what? Everyone thinks that you're cold and mean. I was like, oh, that's good to know. Can you please get the crate of glasses? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, and but he said it's, I go, well, what do you mean? Because it really, honestly, I was like, it was almost funny to me because it didn't hurt me, it didn't strike me, so it kind of seemed funny, and so I kind of drew him out a little more because he was like, I don't know, it was inappropriate. So I was just like, what's this about? And I was like, well, why? Like, give me an example. And he's like, well, like if we're all hanging out and we're talking and joking around, you always have to have the last joke. And I was like, oh, I'm funnier than you. Okay, I'm not sorry
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So there's
No problem.
some of my
Yeah.
fire defending my communication style. Anyway.
But this is where it helps, like to understand. I have a similar story where when I was promoted into a managerial position in my corporate career, they were really good with training and they put us through because you can't manage everyone the same if you want to be a successful manager and have a successful team.
Absolutely.
So they put us through some training around how to manage different types of personalities. And one was a direct personality. And then they said, okay, can you manage someone who may not respond well to direct leadership? And I was like, absolutely, I can. So he's like, okay. And they always made us role play, which I hated. I can still feel myself being like so uncomfortable. But so he was the person who couldn't handle the direct communication. And I did my thing. And then I thought I did really good. And he was like, Jen, that's the most direct thing I've ever heard. I was like, it is? But I don't know any other way. So I also used to feel that if someone wasn't telling me something straight up, I'd be like, what are you hiding? Um, what's the problem? Do you not want to talk to me? But someone could have a Mercury in Pisces, in Sagittarius. With that's a double weakness where it's really hard for them to articulate their words because it's flowy and it's fluid. And if any of you guys know Sagittarius is, you can't cage them into something. They just want to say what they want, when they want to say it, how they want to say it. Um, we got our dreamy Pisces. So it really helps to understand other people will communicate differently. And some people really struggle with communication. So to try, it's like understanding a love language. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right. And honoring that is, and this is what's so beautiful is that we are a mosaic, or we're puzzle pieces. And I'm a puzzle piece. So I have this, which would be like a weakness, then someone else's piece can fit in that. And yeah, we make one another stronger, make a beautiful picture together. And Betty's a Sagittarius and she totally agrees.
Sagittariuses remind us how to have fun. We need you guys.
Yeah, I have a friend, my good friend David Gandelman, and he's been on the podcast. He's a teacher and intuitive and meditation guru guy, and he's a Sagittarius, and he's like to me that's his son, and he's the quintessential Sagittarius. It's like to me, I just see him like chasing the sun. That's just what he's like. That's his whole every day. He wakes up and he's chasing the sun, and that's just it's just such a beautiful energy when it's on fire like that. I love
It
it.
is.
So when did hypnotherapy come into the model for you? So astrology sounds like astrology was a first experience, awakening, opening for you, and then hypnotherapy got in there. Tell me about your path with that.
It was astrology and Reiki were the two, the energy healing were the two. And I was self-taught with astrology for a lot of years, and I've been formally studying, my goodness, for over 5 now. There's just so much to know. Hypnotherapy has been the latest modality. That's been about 3 or 4 years. And I actually discovered it through anxiety. And what I love about this is here's a perfect example of how they come together. So we have our natal birth chart. That is the snapshot of the sky the moment you take your first breath. That is what, when people say sun sign, moon sign, it is all in there. But the transits are always moving around the chart. The planets aren't stuck where they were when you were born. They're moving around the chart, creating, communicating, I will say, with your natal planets and points. I have Pluto going over a part of my chart, which has to do with the home. Pluto is a subconscious planet. Um, it's paired with Scorpio. So think of it like burning to the ground to rise like a phoenix, excavating fears to the surface, to be worked through to then step into this really amazing, different, strong version of yourself. So when you have a planet that goes over one of your four meridian lines, you have the ascendant, you have the descendant, you have the MC, and you have the IC. And the IC has to do with the home. I am coming out of this transit now. It's been there for roughly 4 years, and it has me moving everywhere. Every time I get settled, I am uprooted again. And
Oh
I'm
gosh,
talking,
it's
yeah,
exhausting.
especially for a Taurus, it shakes my nervous system. I get sick. And I do believe this is part of my journey to learn in this life is that my stability and my security comes from within.
Right.
And right.
Yeah,
And
I can imagine. Yeah, as a Taurus, because it's like your home and your grounding is like
everything.
everything. It is. It is how you. I mean, you think of it as grounding, like when you think you have to ground a wire. Like an electric.
Yeah.
And so for a Taurus, like home, that's it. Like right. It's everything. It's your feet. It's like taking your feet off of you for a bit.
I couldn't pull the rug out from under me and steal my snacks, and I am not happy. These are things I need.
Oh my gosh, I love the little memes that people do where it's like they like there was one that was going around and it has all of the zodiac and it's like where the heart is and it
Pizza.
was pizza in the place of the heart. It's so silly. It's the silliest one of all of them. My husband's an Aquarius and they had the Aquarius like a big blue heart at the head and he's like, "What does that
Oh,
mean?" I'm like, "Hey,
don't worry.
it's not a pizza." That's
I
really
know.
quick.
I feel like I like the tourist memes they're always coming at us with like sleep and food, and I can't even feel attacked because I love it. It's
It's a
fine. Like
true story.
it's my
Well, and
happiest place.
and then Pisces is always like super weak and dramatic and emotional, and I'm Pisces, and so yeah, the heart one for that Pisces was like little hearts everywhere, just everywhere, hearts, 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 all the feels.
It's beautiful though. I love Pisces.
So yeah, it could be right. Everything could be pizza and the heart's pretty great though too. I
I'm
love
not
pizza.
complaining. I'm Italian, so pizza and pasta all day long. I'll take
Works.
it. It's like yeah. So moving consistently, and I'm not talking like just the home. I'm talking like countries. I When this transit started, I moved to New Zealand and was in New Zealand, and then COVID hit. Came back to Canada. Oh my goodness. Oh, and while I was in New Zealand, I moved about 5 times. None were
Wow.
my choice.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then came home last April, not this one that passed, the one before that, with the intention of going out to California.
Hmm.
I drove from East Coast. I grew up on a border, Niagara Falls, Canada.
Hmm.
So I drove from East Coast to West Coast in the States. It was amazing. Get to California with the plan of being there for 6 months. 2 days in, completely shut down. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. Redirecting, ended up back in Canada. Doors opened, wouldn't you know it, right back to New Zealand. And I'm here now for the summer. I'll be in Bali for a few months, and then
Wow.
I'll be back in New Zealand. So, through this, needless to say, a lot of anxiety, especially when I wasn't understanding why can't I find my home? Why do I
Mm.
feel unsettled? Why? And from the outside looking in, I know people are like, you're so lucky. You can travel everywhere. And yes, in one breath, absolutely. But in the next, the instability and the bravery and the trust and to continuously have to start over and be flexible, and especially like you said for a Taurus, sometimes it feels like my feet are being taken off.
Yeah.
It caused a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so I looked into hypnotherapy because I needed to understand what was happening. So being able to work with subconscious triggers that I had that were not helping me handle the movement, paired with understanding this is why this is happening. Your soul chose this. There
Hmm.
is a means to an end.
Yeah.
Luckily, Pluto moves so slow, it will never go over this part of my chart again. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you would have asked me like 4 years ago when this started, if someone would have said to me, like, in hindsight, this is gonna be great, I probably would have like looked at them with a death stare.
Mm.
And now I wouldn't have changed a thing. I
Yeah.
am a version of myself, and this is the power of Pluto. I'm not going to say it was easy, but we're here to grow. We're here to change. That's the
Yeah.
one thing that you can count on. And understanding why this was happening helped me lean into everything and trust the process, which also doesn't come easy
Yeah.
for a
It's true.
Taurus.
Yeah. It doesn't come
Or
easy for any of us, but I get you.
yeah, or any strongly fixed modality chart. So that knowledge paired with working with creating new neural pathways and releasing those subconscious triggers that were also hindering me from leaning into the change, it was just like my whole world opened up.
Yeah.
And I am still so excited about the day where I can be like, okay, this is where I know I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Probably still going to be traveling a lot.
Yeah.
But until then, I know I'm fine until I get there and I can do it and it's okay.
I am just post Shadow of Chiron return, and whoo! But I'm
Yeah.
really glad that I knew about it because it was a rough one. It has been rough, but I'm coming out just like you with such freshness and strength, and I think I might be a little post Shadow still, but not in a way that's that hard, especially compared to what happened during the actual pre-shadow and then the whole kaboom of it. Yeah, you're looking at my chart there for the Chiron. I think it's
Well,
Chiron's in Aries. Is that right? I think that's what it
that
is.
would have a lot to do with, well, Chiron always brings up a health review, maybe things that need to be shifted. But with
That happened.
Aries,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And with Aries, that's going to be a very, very strong focus also on the self.
Mm-hmm.
Chiron, the wounded healer,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so with the return, it's physical healing, but with it being in Aries, that's also a focus on you and how you feel inside and what needs to be worked out. And yeah, it's never easy, but we can do it.
Yeah, I made it.
Exactly.
Nothing cataclysmic actually happened on paper. It was, a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed. At, at least one relationship ended. That was what was supposed to happen. Things like that, and that was all just okay. And not only okay, but it's really great. I mean, actually having venting dreams lately. So in the morning, early morning dreams, when you have emotionally charged dreams, I'm saying this for the audience sake, those dreams are like venting out emotional content that you no longer need because you've actually resolved it. And again, that's another good thing to know because if you're having that dream, you're like, oh no, that's where I am. And it's like, no, 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 we're taking the trash out. That's where you were and you don't need it anymore. And so the dreams lately have all been like, I've lost my path. I can't find my mission. And they come in the symbolism of I've lost my car. But, so when I reflected on it as, oh, yeah, that's right. I felt like I misplaced it for a while, but here I am. I've got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where did you
I
get
love that.
your hypnotherapy training and everything?
In New Zealand, actually,
Oh,
amazing, amazing teacher named Justine Lett.
oh,
She owns a
cool.
company in New Zealand and just feels so. Every teacher that I found, I could not have asked for a better mentor and teacher because a lot of these modalities, hypnotherapy included, isn't regulated,
Well,
right?
yeah, not really in Well, we have some kind of regulation, but it's mostly only in California. It's just it's recognized as a business, and so we have. But yeah, in a lot of states, in some states, it's not regulated at all. Some
Yeah,
states only licensed therapists can perform it, and they don't get a lot of training in therapy. About how to do hypno. They get like 2 weeks, is what a lot of therapists tell me. So,
right,
yeah.
right. Um, I think when everything's said and done, it took me roughly 2 years.
Hmm.
And I just feel very fortunate that I've had even my astrology teacher, everyone has been amazing with
Yeah.
thorough, proper training.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that you would agree with this, I take what I do very seriously. Like, this
Yeah.
is people's lives. This is their subconscious. This is,
Absolutely.
so you want to make sure whoever you're partnering with in any capacity, who you're getting support or guidance from, that you connect with them and that you trust them. And I take pride in that.
And they have, I'm sorry to be a little stickler on this, but training like you
Yes,
have, you
yes.
know what I mean? Because there are a lot of self-proclaimed coaches, because that's completely unregulated, and I'm just gonna say it, but that's that like when someone is like a self-trained, they'll use the word like trauma coach. What that means is they are possibly going to project or trigger trauma, and actually, it's not a safe space.
No.
It's with proper training, because it is like when you're working with the subconscious mind, which all of these modalities do, all spiritual modalities do, astrology does as well, because the way that someone presents an astrologer, the way they present your chart to you can help someone make some, encourage someone to suggest to them that they're broken,
Yes.
and not explain the way that you do. No, a weakness is a good thing. It's how you actually are, it's like the master's degree you're getting in that area. It doesn't mean that you're broken, but some people present it with that kind of superstition or dogma, and it actually psychically injures someone. And it is like doing psychic surgery. So you want a good qualified surgeon, don't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you know how many people I have had come to me to seek out service, whatever it may be, who have said something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I know I have a curse," so, and I'm like,
Yeah. And they heard that
and
from someone?
yeah, and I don't like. I'm not here to discredit anybody else,
I know,
but it
right?
it just it rips my heart out, because our energy is our currency. It's everything. Our vibration, the law of
Yeah.
attraction is very real. And if you are going through life thinking that you have a curse, what is coming back to you?
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you know?
Yeah. There's this book that I read. It's called The Luck Factor, and the person, what's his name? I forget his name right now. But anyway, the author's name. He's actually approaching this book. It's not really spiritual. I mean, it is, though. When we listen to it, we're like, oh, that's spiritual laws. We know what's going on there. He's really approaching it from more of a psychological standpoint, and so he put people through luck school. So he wanted to see if he could make unlucky people luckier, and then to make actually even lucky people less lucky, just to see. But the people that were unlucky, he gives them like exercises. Honestly, he's giving them personal development, and he's giving them affirmations, which of course we know are hypnotic suggestions. And so these people, like in a verifiable, by their own verification, get luckier. And they do recognize also that it does have to do with the fact that they're changing their state. And so like one woman was like, I'm running late for the bus and I miss it, or I go and I buy this dress and then the next day it's on sale, and then I'm like, and all these things, like those little anecdotes completely shifted for her. So yeah, however you look at it, it is about what state we're holding. And then, so if we're holding the state, I'm cursed. That's what
Exactly.
that's how free our will is. The universe gave us free will. Your will is so free that if you want to feel like you're cursed, so it is. You're
Exactly.
welcome to it.
Exactly. And hey, listen, I'll be the first to say it might be frustrating to miss the bus.
Yeah.
And the same time, looking through it through a different lens, what if that timeline shift was actually to protect you from something?
Yeah.
What if that timeline shift was because you actually needed to meet someone on the next bus who is super significant to you in your journey? You never, ever, ever know.
Right. It's all
And that's
happening
the
for
thing.
us.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is so amazing. You have my chart. Would you want
I,
to share? Yeah, you said you would so graciously share some
yes.
things. So what did you see? I told her to have a look
And I have some
at
notes.
career. Oh, thank you. Career stuff. So pay attention, everyone, because this is what a little tiny, tiny, tiny sample of one of the modalities that you would get with Jennifer. And then, of course, do you combine them? So you look at like the chart, and then you work through it, and then you put it in with hypnosis, right?
It depends.
Sometimes,
Like
yeah. Depends on
I do,
depends on the
I
session.
do. I'll do one-off astrology readings.
Uh-huh.
And for individuals who are looking for that significant growth, it's like anything else. You can't
Yeah.
go to the gym once and then expect to have abs.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
if there's a consistency needed. So I will work with these individuals on a 6-month basis in a very high level support and transformation package. And that is clinical hypnotherapy, that is the Akashic records, that is astrology, that is it's all of it.
All
So
the things. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so great. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
So the things that I was really excited about for you wanting to kind of focus on work and see what was coming up there is that you have, and I want to, this is a really good example because not every transit or every return is going to be challenging. Chiron return, that can come with a little bit of challenge to get
Yeah.
to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Jupiter is Jupiter is paired with Sagittarius. So it is opportunity, it is excitement, it is travel, it is kind of getting that little bit of zest for life back. And this is what Jupiter does when it goes around your chart. It brings you these incredible opportunities. And you have Jupiter in your 10th house right now. And the 10th house is one of the work houses. But why I really love this for you is because it has to do with exposure and public image and opportunity and growth that way.
Oh, good.
If it was going around in the 6th house, for example, which is also a work house, that would be more on opportunity within the fundamentals and structures of your business. But this is more public exposure and shifting that way for you.
Can I just say that is so helpful because what I have been doing is that sixth house work. Like the fundamentals and the inner workings of it are very solid and grounded. So then yeah, kind of all I need is the exposure and it's got this. So thank you already. Thank you
Yeah.
for for showing me that.
Which brings me to my next point, your MC, which is in Taurus. So remember when I talked about how Pluto's going over my IC, which is the bottom, which is the home. The MC, which is on the other side of the chart, is the outer world, it's work. And this shows us how we will be successful, where we are going to find emotional fulfillment within work as well, which is really important.
Yeah.
And yours is in Taurus. So when you talk about, you're like, I already have the steady foundations in place. This is not only something that you're good at, but you need it. Security and stability is very important to you within career, which is not with everybody. You're very practical with your work. I would probably say a certain part of your drive within work has to do with material comforts and you
Yeah.
like to have nice things, which nothing wrong with that. So do I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Healing energies come in very strong with this placement. And you are going to be, through this stability, you are also inspiring others to do that as well.
That's beautiful. I love that. Nice.
Yes, because I find one thing that can be a challenge within the spiritual community is this is blanketed, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you don't have that business acumen background, it's very hard because you need to have the gifts, but you also need to be able to run a business. And that's where
Structure
it's
it.
really, yes.
Yeah. To be able to give the gifts every day.
Yep.
And you need a structure for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I really believe because my midhaven is in Cancer, and that's the nurturing, which is why I'm able to do what I do, but not the structure that you have. So I really believe the corporate career that I went through, which I grew so much and learned about business and how to manage and clients and customer service and all of that and sales, was what gave me my foundation. If I look back and try to connect the little dots of like, why did I have to do this for so long?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I did that too. I had a corporate kind of career for about 8 years right before this blossomed. Well, actually, there was this, segue, of course, as there tends to be. But yeah.
Another thing I wanted to pull out for you was your nodes. So when I talked about the North Node and the South Node, because the South Node is in Libra for you, but it's in your second house, which is the work house. And with your South Node being in Libra, this is you really needing to move away from putting others first at your detriment. From
You can say codependency. They know it. She's so very
not
kind.
saying that,
I am.
but from also, I don't want to say stuck, but like doing things just because that's the way they're done.
Yeah.
Doing things because that's just the way that you're doing them, or that you grew up to think they had to be done, or that
Right.
society tells you that they had to be done.
Hmm.
And with your North Node, let me double check, in Aries in the seventh house, no, eighth house, sorry. This is learning how to put yourself first, learning how to love yourself, learning that it's okay to also take care of your needs. I know it's a really cheesy analogy, but I'm sure a lot of people have been on an airplane and they
Hmm.
say, put your air mask on first. You cannot help somebody else if you can't breathe. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Scorpio is that metaphysics. It is that deep, diving deep into life. I mean, look at what you do.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you. I'm just really gonna take that in and let that be that support to me. It's so true, and the that I feel like I did a big switch from the South Node to the North Node energies, and the Chiron return did that because I had to work on core wounds and had to shift things around. So
Totally.
that's so great. Thank you for that. I like the
You're
Jupiter
welcome.
return business. So Jupiter's returning for me. Is that's what's
No,
going on?
it's transiting.
Transiting. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And there's also one other thing that I think is important to point out, just so you have the whole picture, is in June, it started in June, and it's going to be there till around May 2026.
Okay.
You have Uranus, which is a subconscious planet, going over your MC as well. And this brings change.
Ooh.
Where Uranus and Pluto are both subconscious planets,
Hmm.
they both do their job. But where Uranus, I think, is a little bit easier to work with is that Pluto just like drags and it's slow and it moves. Uranus brings change, but think of it like an earthquake. It's like
Uh-huh.
boom, and then it's done. And it doesn't mean bad.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean bad at all. I had a client who had that transit, but going over the home, and she was really, really afraid. And it turned out that she was able to sell some land for like way over market value, that she's like, I can't even. And I'm like, see, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Um, so it may be a change in the structure of your business, a new opportunity, or you might just be like, I actually don't resonate with this anymore. I'm going to do something different, or something new just comes up that you didn't even think of, that you're like, I'm going to put this in my business. So just really exciting times for you with work. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. And I love that I like earthquakes. I like big and swift
Well,
changes.
California, you would.
I
Yeah.
must, right? I must have.
Yeah.
I chose to be here. Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much.
You're
So
so
very
welcome.
helpful. I mean, seriously, I'm going to write all of that stuff down and go back and listen and write it down. So helpful. Do you, by the way, are you into human design at all? Have you peeked into that yet?
A little bit. I would
Oh,
love to learn more once I feel like I have the mental capacity to do so. All I know is that I'm a manifesting generator, which that made a lot of sense for me.
yeah, I can feel that.
Um, I also have a Mars, which has to do with drive in Gemini, and Gemini sees life through options and choices. So that kind of all lined up for me. And maybe like I don't even remember, six something.
Four
I don't know.
six. Are you a 4-6 profile? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I should have. I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe I should have
I
taken
don't
her
know.
natal information and I could look up because I can give you a human design reading.
Cool.
Yeah. If you want, you can send it to me. I don't know if you feel like doing that right now, but it would be really fun. I
Okay, I
love,
can.
yeah, I love human design, and of course, just as you probably know, and I'll just say this again for people who are listening, human design is a synthesis of four ancient observational sciences and modern quantum physics. And so the observational sciences are astrology, tropical astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and the chakra system. And then we throw in there quantum physics, and it's pretty. It's really pretty. Of course, it's complex because astrology is complex, and that's just one of the things that's in there.
I
But it's
just
really
sent you
fantastic.
through.
Oh, cool. Did you email
Um,
it, or did you?
oh no, I sent it through how we were chatting before. Do you
Oh,
want me to
okay,
email it?
perfect. No, that's
Okay.
fine. I can open that up. What did you
Um,
send me your chart?
no, just my birth details that I
Ah,
know.
oh, okay,
Sorry.
cool. No, that's okay. Well, we'll probably look at it later. I don't want to take too much time there. Oh,
Oh
Kate
yeah,
is
no worries.
reminding me, luck factor. That's the book that I mentioned. It's by Richard
Oh,
Wiseman. Thank you, Kate. It's such a
cool.
great book. And again, it's a grounded approach. It's not specifically a spiritual book. No, I would love to. By the way, sorry, I didn't want to take time. I was afraid if I put the information in, then I was going to get silent on the thing. That's really it. But if if you're interested, I'll go ahead and put the information in my you know
Oh, it's totally up to you. No, it's fine. I thought you wanted to. You
I
can do it
would love
later.
to if you want
You can
to.
do it anytime. Anytime's fine. Yeah, I'm an open book. I know.
Okay. I love that. So I'm going to pull that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm going to pull it up. So tell us a little bit. I'm going to put your chart information in, and while I'm doing that, if you want to, oh, good, I got the information. Do you want to regale us with some exciting, like that one that you told us about the client who shifted in because of that transit and all of a sudden was able to sell some property? What are some other amazing stories, whether they're your own or someone else's, that demonstrate how powerful these modalities are?
It's just like I don't even know where to start.
I know, right? There's so
Um,
many.
there was one client, and again, please know when I say this, we, like that was already mentioned, we have free will.
Yeah.
So astrology is here to guide us, but it will never do the heavy lifting for us, and our choices play a role in how things work out. But I had a client who went through a breakup and was just beside herself.
Mm.
And I had to look at her chart, and there were some moving pieces with moving, physically moving. Um, she had a Chiron placement that was going over a relationship area of her house. And I just said, listen, these are the transits that are happening. Um, and I asked what the timeline was because they agreed to take some time to talk and then see what was happening. And I said, listen, give him this time.
Hmm.
And based on this other transit, this is a favorable outcome for things to actually shift with you in this area. Like, you do what you need to do in terms of keeping your vibration high and your mental health high and continue doing your inner work. And if this is meant to come back, this is likely the timeline. And so I worked with her for a few sessions, and then doesn't that timeline come around and she's like, oh my God, Jen. And it was just time that needed things that they needed to, their timelines needed to go apart to come back together.
Oh, yeah.
Um, that was a really cool one. Another one actually also has to do with moving. I did a reading and I told this client, I'm like, are you planning on moving? She's like, no. And I could see she was kind of like, didn't want to hear that. And then she came back about 8 months later on the timeline that I said. And she actually gave me a testimonial that says, you told me I was moving. And I was like, what a bunch of nonsense. Like, I'm not moving anywhere. And I am moving and I am so excited. Like, this is the best thing ever. I didn't see this coming. I'm like, planets don't lie.
That's so great. I have a client right now. I feel like she should have a session with you because you work so much with the transits, which is so, I think, so helpful. And the client that I'm thinking of, because there are some life transition things, that have honestly, they started several years ago, like probably
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. And moving it along, but it's a big thing. And it's like, on the one hand, you don't want to, you definitely, well, definitely on all of the hands, you don't want to force it. You don't
No.
want to force it because that's just going to create more difficulty for everyone. But something like seeing how the transits are supporting it, it actually helps you to make the plans and do the inner work and, trust the process, as you said, which is not always easy. Yeah.
No. And that's like the perfect example with Pluto. It really helped me to stop obsessing. Like, this affected me to the point I was diagnosed with mental exhaustion. The
Mm,
doctor's like, you can't work, because this is, my brain was just like, I cannot understand why I keep moving. Why can't I figure out where I'm meant to live?
mm.
And it just helped me lean into the process. Like I said, I still don't have a clear answer, but I'm going to Bali for 3 months. I get to go back to New Zealand for like another six. We'll see. And this is the energy, how, law of attraction, how
Hmm.
things flow for you, not if I'm panicking.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, I have your chart up here. So you, as you said, are a manifesting generator, and I thought you were 4/6. You're not. You're a 6/3. So with the
Okay, that's
six,
it.
yeah. So the six energy is the role model. I could definitely feel the six energy as well. I was thinking maybe you were of the four energy from what you described in the business, but now the three energy makes a lot of sense. So the I'll just tell you a few things that actually can help you with your clients. So you know how as people that are either their suggestibility is either very literal, they can take just literal information and direct. So you can say, you can put suggestions in during hypnosis as like, and now when you go to work, you will feel confident. And some people they're responsive to that, and some other people are more inferential. So you would have to say, as you move to work, you'll find it easier and easier to develop more confidence. You have to like give them you have to give it to them. So with your human design chart, the centers that are undefined, the ones that are white, are those areas, those the input where you can be very literal with yourself. And then the ones that are defined, you need because you're defined, you actually have to take in the information and you have to like simmer it. It has to mull over. You have to sit with it a while.
Mm,
That's just as a little tip for as a hypnotherapist, and even as giving astrology
so cool.
readings, how you deliver it to people, how much information
Mm,
you give it so that they can hold on to it. But it's kind of a broader study because you have to look at the actual centers. But what I can tell you about your chart right away is you are a classic empath because you have an undefined emotional center. And the emotional solar plexus, it means that you have no filter between yourself and all of the emotions on the planet. It's kind of funny. I was talking to someone who was fresh to human design, and they said something like, "The undefined centers are bad, right?" I was like, "No." And this person actually was not an astrologer professionally, but was very much into astrology. And I was like, "No, that's like saying Virgo is bad. Of course, it's not.
yeah,
It's not bad. Just
yeah.
like a weakness isn't bad. But it is what an undefined center is. The white center is it is no filter between yourself in that area and the rest of the world. So since your emotional center is undefined, that's the classic empath. I can feel other people's emotions as though they are my own. It's
Hmm.
also the greatest opportunity for growth and expansion. Again, just like in the astrology chart, the weakness is that. And so the cool thing about being an empath is that we learn that just because I can feel it doesn't mean I should feel it or that I should keep feeling it. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
benefit of being that sensitive like that and having other people's emotions show up in your mind and body is that you can then know what everyone needs. But you have to come back to, you have to let go of it, and you have to, we can feel two things at one time. We really can. And so I can feel someone else's emotion and know that that's happening, and I can also feel a calm inside of me, even though that's a lot of tension, to have that, but it's also okay as long as I, like you say, trust the process. And the benefit of that is that you're amplifying it, and then everybody else is kind of able to have the benefit of the emotional qualities that are available. Just by being around someone with an open emotional center, you're amplifying the emotional context. It's interesting. Yeah.
Mm,
And you
yeah,
also
that
have
resonates.
you also have gate 19, which is a gate that really indicates a genetic disposition for synesthesia. So your synesthesia is like when your senses overlap. So
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's both your physical senses but also like your psychic senses. So well, it actually shows it is the psychic dominant dominance of clairsentience. So you're very in addition to having that open emotional center, you're clairsentient in the sense of you use it as a tool, from your whole being. I said physical, I didn't mean physical, but you are physically very sensitive as well.
Hmm.
And so all of this moving around must be really in all the ways you're talking about, obviously on your nervous system, but moving to new climates, that's got to be like, you know, you need a lot of grounding after that because the gate 19 people who have gate 19 are the most physically sensitive of all of the humans on the planet. So you need a lot
Could
of
this could
tenderness.
this also be why I am shocking with jet lag?
Oh, yes.
shocking.
That's why
Like,
because I have gate 19 as well. And so that's what I'm kind of attributing it to. You need to get there a few days in advance
yeah,
and you need to, yeah, sleep it out and, yeah, get really grounded. And probably the Taurus is also adding to that, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
That all really resonates. I'm very much in my protect my peace phase of life and have been for a while. And I was actually misdiagnosed with an anxiety disorder before I understood my empath abilities and was on some really heavy duty meds for a year and a half that I
Oh.
was just like, um, because, you know, you go to Western medicine and you say, this is how I'm feeling. This, I don't know why I'm sad. I don't know. It's like tick, tick, tick. Here's your meds.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that anxiety disorders are not very real. And I'm
Right.
also not saying this isn't a bash on Western medicine. I think there's a power when it's combined. If you break your leg, you don't need Reiki. You probably need some morphine, like just to help you out there,
And some
physical
surgery,
body.
maybe.
Yeah. Um, but it was just really eye opening for me when I understood that, like, this is why I feel this is, I didn't understand how to decipher my emotions from somebody else's. And it really affected me. And I think that happens a lot in the spiritual community, actually.
Well, I'll tell you what else you have that is undefined, and that's your spleen. And the spleen is the center for, it's actually the fear center, and it fear in the positive sense, like I should be afraid of jumping off the cliff, so like a primal survival fear. And it's an awareness center. It's actually the most powerful awareness center in the chart. And it also is like for immunity and health. So people that have an undefined spleen can be really good at health counseling. Maybe with their own
Mm,
health, it's a little harder because you're feeling again like pulled all over the place because you're picking up on all of those energies. So this would be, if you want to put it in the language of an empath, it's like you are a physical empath or a health empath.
cool.
And also, but fears. So other people's primal fears or fears for survival, you can feel those. And so but again, like with that awareness of it, you could in sessions then pick up on that and like kind of taste it. And you're like, okay, great. So this is where we're working. And you are feeling it literally. It's not like you're reading
Mm,
it on paper. Well, and also
totally.
not super literally, as in the sense if they have a broken leg, then you fall down. It's like you get a sense of it. You have that ping. And but yeah, helping people with their wellness, their immunity, and all of that. That is kind of something that is just a natural function of your sensitivity in your chart.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have several open centers, and the just one other I'll mention is the head center is open, which is synonymous to the crown. And so it's undefined. That means that you also have access and no filter between yourself and the universe for inspiration and ideas and thoughts. And so very telepathic. And you also have in that same center the gate defined, which is 61. And 61 is the psychic abilities of, like, as a dominant psychic abilities of claircognizance and clairvoyance. So, by the way, when I say dominant, it doesn't mean that you don't have clairaudience. It's just that I like to say it's like, clairsentience or clairvoyance are like your right hand if you're right-handed. And then if you have to pick up something heavy, you're going to use your left hand also. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah,
doesn't mean you don't have a left hand if you're right-handed. So yeah. Anyway, those are just a few
I
things that
love
you have
that.
in your chart. Yeah. And
Thank you.
there's north node and south node in that as well. And if you look on if you want to look into it a little bit on the design side, which is usually the planets that are in red, and you'll see the north and south node, symbols. And if you look at the gates, you just have to look up the gates and you'll find a lot of resonance there. So like your south node is 43. And so if you looked up what gate 43, what the themes are of
I'm gonna
that,
write that down.
yeah. And then compare it to your north node, which is 23. And especially on the design side, because it's like what your body is gravitating toward. So yeah, if you want to look up, I recommend for gate
Cool.
references, Christy Inge. She's been on the podcast, INGE. She has like a gates library, and it's fantastic.
Cool. I've heard like a lot of people talk about gates, and I had no idea what anyone was talking about. So now I know.
You know what? I'm going to send you. I'll shoot it to you on email or something like that. There is this great 1 minute video. It's very much like the snapshot. It's the natal snapshot on the personality side, just like with your, astrology chart. It's the snapshot of the planetary placements. The difference is it's that the planets, what the gates are about, it's the I Ching. So there are 64 gates in the I Ching. So every planet is moving in its orbit through those gates. So it's like transits, right?
It's
So that's
amazing.
what that is. And that's what our chart comes together as. But there are two snapshots. There's the natal one, and that's like the planetary placements. But then there's the design side, and that is about 3 months before you're born. So these two snapshots make your chart. And so, yeah, that's what it's about. It's super,
Incredible.
super fun, right?
It's incredible. I'm so interested in all of it. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
thank
I
you.
hope I didn't talk too much about human design, but I hope you also got
No,
something from it. We're just having a
I
good old
just,
party,
it's all intertwined. Like, I
isn't
love
it?
it.
Yeah. Betty's throat, ajna, and head are undefined. Yes, I know Betty. I know Betty. That's why I know Betty. She's also a 6'3". So tell us about how you're working with clients. You mentioned that you have this 6-month therapeutic package to really
I
help
do.
people to shift major things. Tell us how people can work with you. What kinds of offers do you have going on?
So, that is the 6-month package within itself. That is the major transformational package for people who are just like, you know what, I'm ready. Let's go. It's time to quantum leap. It's time to move
Yeah.
forward. I do one-on-one astrology sessions as well, which not everyone's ready or wants to work with me for 6 months. Some people just have like a minor interest in astrology and
Hmm.
are ready to start that journey. I do that. Or if someone is just looking for insight, year ahead transit reading. I also have courses. I teach astrology.
Oh, good. I was going to ask because you feel like so much like a teacher. Tell me about the courses if you don't mind.
No, I would love to. So I have two astrology courses. I have Applied Astrology, which is a full comprehensive 10-week course that takes you through the fundamentals of how to understand your birth chart and how to be able to read a basic chart as well. Um, Combination of self-paced learning plus live
Oh,
coaching,
good. Uh huh.
because I really wanted to make it flexible for people. Number one, my clients are all over the world, but also everyone learns differently and at different paces and at different times. So that was really important to me. So I have that. The next one is going to be launching on February 2025. And then I have the Applied Astrology mini course, which is basic zodiacs, planets, houses, but just the first stepping stone into understanding key areas of your chart. And this is fully self-paced and more of a beginner. If you're not interested or maybe ready for the whole shebang, then this is going to give you a little bit to understand.
Awesome. And these are so the second one that you mentioned, the smaller one, is for beginners, and then the longer, the full comprehensive one, is that something that prepares someone also to maybe start thinking about being a professional? Like they get that deep of a knowledge to be able to start that idea.
They're both for beginners, absolutely.
Hmm.
They're just different options.
Yeah.
You're not going to know how to read a chart on the first one. It's going
Sure.
to give you, zodiacs, planets, and houses. The second one is more so you can read a birth chart after that, but it's not only for people who want to be astrologers.
Right.
And it does not go into the transits or aspects or anything like that because it's just too much information
Hmm.
to be put in one course. I will be having a second part of it when I get ready my manifesting generator to do that. But it's really I actually stole this from one of a former student. She said it was like doing an archaeological dig on myself.
Mm.
I cannot believe how much I understand and how much easier life feels. And that's how I felt. I was like, why did I not figure this out when I was like 12? Like my whole life would have been easier, but all divine timing, right?
Right.
And yeah,
That's awesome. Yes, I get it. Creating courses is a lot, and it's so fun too. And I have a bunch of that's part of the thing that I have in my foundation now. I have a lot of my courses created, so that's very exciting to be able to offer also the transits when that starts to get into your workload. That'll be fantastic as well. So
well,
great. We have your
big,
website there. Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
I
I
just
was
want.
just going to say a big part about what I'm passionate about is also teaching people tools, because I'm not with
Hmm.
you all the time. I'm not
Yeah.
waking up beside you. I'm not saying let's go. And I want people to have access to this information to start to become self-sufficient.
Yes.
Um, you
Yes,
know?
because you want your clients, you want your students and your clients to grow. Like that's your prime objective.
Yep.
And just to notice that there are, I've actually, some practitioners, they want to keep people dependent. I'll just
Oh,
say, like, heard someone before say, well, hypnotherapy is so effective, a lot of people don't need more than 6 sessions. Like how do we keep them? I'm like, don't. That's a
you
wonderful
know,
problem that you
yeah,
graduate your clients. That's fantastic. So I think it's great. Yeah, courses are really great for that, and help them to
yeah,
take it on for themselves. And that's what you really need to do. Like with astrology, human design is the same thing. You can't just download it and learn it. You don't learn it like we learned, the states and capitals on that one test we took that one day and quickly forgot them, which I did. You have to, this is why human design, it calls itself an experiment. And that's what astrology is like too. You have to look at it, you have to take it in, you
yeah.
have to look at your life, you have to take it into your introspection, your inner work. And so I love that archaeological dig on myself. That's what it's all
I was
about.
like, that's it. I'm going to use that. She's like, go ahead. Perfect. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, this has been so amazing. I thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for my reading on my work life and everything and my natal chart. We have all of your information below. Is there anything that's time sensitive? Well, you mentioned the course starting in February of 25. Is there anything else time sensitive? Are you taking one-on-ones right now? Anything else we need to know in order to work with you?
Yeah, I am. Looking, I think I have a few left for end of August, and then I'm looking September onward. And I did want to offer for the first three people that come to me from this podcast that are interested in applied astrology, I'm going to give you guys an exclusive discount from this podcast. So,
Oh, yes, that's right. We have that in the notes too. Thank you so much for that. Wonderful. Okay, everyone, be sure to check the notes because we do have all of that information there. And so, everyone, this is Jennifer Wilson. This has been such a joy. Thank you so much for coming on,
thank
and I
you.
hope you'll come on again. Maybe we should make a plan to align up with some kind of global, transit dealio or something.
I would love that. I would love that.
All right, wonderful. Well, we'll look forward to having you on again. I'm gonna wrap up the show, but you can hang back if you want afterward, and we'll chat. Don't tell everyone. We're gonna
Cool.
chat offline if you want to.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
everyone, Jennifer Wilson, be sure to check the show notes. Astrologer and hypnotherapist. And so I just wanted to thank you all so much for coming to this podcast, whether you're watching it live or if you are listening in the replay, and just to invite you to join my newsletter, which you can find my website and all of that kind of stuff in the show notes. My newsletter is the place where I'm definitely announcing all of the things. Sometimes it doesn't show up on Instagram, but I have some other things that are really amazing, like my $11 a month subscription for a workshop and a meditation, and also like live exclusive content. It's kind of like, how people do Patreon? That's the idea there. It's called Modern Mystic. Find it on my website. We have a beautiful community. The community has been growing since I think I started it in 2017. So beautiful. So I just want to make that invitation, as well as, the many other intuitive development courses that I have going on. So that's what I have for you in this podcast. Thank you so much for shining your light on our beautiful world. And thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.